We'll start off today here with a 2-inch brush and a very, very light yellow color. I've already applied some clear gel and white to the top of the canvas. That just helps our colors to blend a little better. I didn't put any at the bottom. We're going to do water at the bottom, so you could if you really wanted to, but I don't usually put it under my water. So there you go. Now, I don't know if you can see that. I can barely see it here in person, but that to me is just the right amount. We're going to have an incredibly misty, actually very simple painting today. And we're going to focus a lot on the light and on the colors to make it more interesting. Also, if you're looking forward to seeing this and you'd like to see more, be sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when I put up the next video. All right, we are not going to spend any more time on that, because you probably can't see it, but at least it's got paint on there so people can't say, oh, you just left it blank white. I don't know why that's a problem, but it's a problem, so we're not going to do it. Everything that I do in the sky, or in the background, I should say, I am going to go ahead and reflect in the water. Might as well do it right now. So now I've got the same 2-inch brush, this time through kind of a darker yellow, and it's kind of not exactly over mixed. You can kind of see multiple yellows going on in there. All right, now let's go ahead and start kind of on the outer areas of our yellow, and we'll work in toward the middle, and that way it'll get automatically lighter. Just a little bit easier that way. Remember, there's clear gel over this area, so it should mix pretty well. By mixing it, like, it kind of should be softened pretty well, if that makes sense. No, you don't want to use too much paint here. I think that's like the #1 thing that could probably be bad. If you use too much paint, you'll have, in fact, see, I don't like that for this. It's way too globby. I want it to appear much, much further away. And it's important to go straight in and straight out so that you break that brush open into just a bunch of little dots. Okay. And I'm just sort of working with the brush, just with tapping motion, just to try to create a lot of this background mush that will hopefully look like trees if we can pull it off. And at this point, it does just look like mush, that's for sure. Remember, every single thing you do up here is reflected down, and my horizon's about 1/3. So they reflected down, just pull it straight down. This is an incredibly easy painting, as you can see. Well, at least I hope it's going to be. So if you're just starting out painting, this is a good one to try, because it relies more on color than it does on composition. So I'm going to lighten that up. And I want some very, 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 very light white, yellowy white ones in here. All right, that definitely works. It's certainly nothing complicated. You're not going to be doing anything too crazy, when you just tap, and this is kind of what you see is what you get. But like I said, I think it's a good beginner technique, and sometimes it's just a good thing to do. Not always, but if you know where to use it, it can be handy. Okay, that works. Maybe combine those. See, you're gonna have to kind of go slowly here, or at least I'm going to go slowly, and make sure that I'm liking the way that these trees are coming together. There's going to be a very, very faint pocket of that yellowy white in the middle. Almost looks like you can't see it because it's so bright. Your eyes are adjusted to the dark force that we're going to do around this, so you can't quite see. Get that? It's that kind of a look. Oh yeah, look at that, kind of closed in at the top there, just enough. I like it. It's okay to be excited, even over just silly little colors like this. There's nothing special here, but it's okay to be excited. Oh yeah. Then just a tiniest bit darker, a little more yellow ochre as we work away from the middle here. Now I've got the palette knife. I'm going to take just some pure white, because I know it's going to mix here, so I'm okay with that. I know what you're thinking. What are you doing with the palette knife? At least that's what I think you're thinking. Oh, I'm going to try something new. Yeah, let's try this. I have no idea why I'm doing this, but literally just want to do it, because I think this is going to make for a really interesting effect. We're going to apply some white right here. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. I think we just messed up our painting. Yay. All right. Let's set that aside. Now I'm going to set my palette down, and I've got a shop towel. See, it's very easy to make your forest, especially when you're learning to paint, just kind of very, very symmetrical. So this is, I'm hoping, especially for people who are newer, could be a really good way to force you to be non-symmetrical. Try it. I'm going to just take my shop towel and I'm going to literally just mash this in. Now, I didn't put that much paint on here with the palette knife, so, you know, this is okay. I think if you put too much paint, you might struggle, but I don't mind that little tiny bit of oil paint texture. People pay more money to get that texture in your paintings. At least I would charge more for that. Definitely would be charging more for that. There we go. Check it out. Oh yeah, that is exactly what I wanted. That's exactly what I was picturing, actually. Oops. So hey, some of that blue is sneaking in. That blue is from my wet easel. This is actually filmed only a day or two after the technique video, the tip video that I posted last. Speaking of which, let's look at the paintings that you guys did of my previous landscape painting. I put them in the tip video, but I'm going to put them again here. You guys did a great job, and maybe we'll even be able to grab a couple of extras if you guys had some extra time to paint. So maybe some more people got some paintings in. But go ahead and share using the hashtag on the screen. Share your version of this painting that I'm doing, and I'll put it in the next video. So now I'm going to basically repeat that same process with a pink color, just a light pink color, nothing too intense, not too much red. It's actually more white than you would think. All right, and then of course this is just one of many layers. I think one of the secrets to this kind of painting, and you've seen this from, you know, just about everybody paints this subject from time to time, and I've painted stuff similar to this in the past as well. But I think one of the secrets to this style, where it kind of goes from just bright and it works outward with color, trees or anything else, is by doing a lot of colors. You do just 3 colors and it's probably not going to look right, but if you can do 10 colors or, you know, variations of colors in between your colors, I think you're going to have a nice painting no matter how the trees look, you know, just because the color is going to be so pretty. Well, that's one secret that might help. Oh, there we go. Look at that. You're perfectly welcome to do the shop towel here. I probably will as well. I'll show you if I do. I think it just could make it look really good. Really, really good. There we go. Look at that. Kind of brings some of that out. Excellent. Now, before you get your brush dirty with other colors, go ahead and take this and reflect it down into the water. Just approximately where, you know, your trees are. Remember, my water is dry. That, you know, kind of makes it harder to blend, but at the end of the day, it'll actually be better. Be a little easier to deal with it. I'm going to go to put trees and whatnot in the foreground. Now I'm just continuing with the same idea, just a slightly different color. Oh, it's so similar. So similar. And that is, I think, kind of the secret. Actually, up there, I tell you what, I'm going to do orange up there. Why? I don't know. Just because I feel like the orange might make a little bit more of an interesting effect just on that side. Maybe not on that side. I don't know. Let's just change it up. We're not going to mirror each side perfectly. I like that idea. Oh, wow. Look at that. Subtle. And I'm okay with some of the white showing through. You know, it's got that very, very little tint on it, so it'll be fine. Actually, I don't even know that it does out there, but it'll still be fine. I'm not going to worry about it. All right, let's see. Maybe before I go too far, let me set that brush to the side. I don't want to mess it up. I'm kind of going with the purples. I want to go back to, I'm going to go to a 1-inch brush. I'm not going back to anything. I want to make some brand new orange here. A brand new orange, kind of a darker orange. Less yellow ochre, more of our brighter cad yellow. All right, let's see. Wipe that off. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. That is wonderfully out of place. See that? Oh, that's good. I'm not going to do it over there. Resisting the urge to do it over there. I'm just having fun. Can you tell I'm just having fun? All right, let's get some red. And I'm going to go ahead and just darken it ever so slightly with a little blue. Let's see what that does. See if we like that or not. No, way too dark. Lighten that up quite a bit. See that? Look at the difference. Oh, what a difference. Okay, not that different, but I like it better, so that's what matters. Right over that orange one. Nice. And down here, definitely some more. I kind of want this to look like it's kind of coming around here and then kind of flat. See, I'm trying to make this different because it's so easy to do these where you make it symmetrical even on either side. It's going to be way more interesting if we don't do that. I forgot to reflect that orange. It's so valuable. See why it's so valuable to be having multiple brushes going at once. You know, a couple of 2 inches, a couple of 1 inches. Use as many as you can because, you know, stuff like that is easier when you have just the brush ready to go. And then we'll pull down here as well, although I know for a fact this is going to be covered by a lot of our landscape. So now I'm going to use the shop towel just to add in an extra texture. And this is one of my favorite ways to kind of cover my trail, you know, like cover up my trail so you can't see how I painted it. That's one thing that I don't, and this is maybe just me, and that's okay, because I don't like being able to look at my painting all the time and see, oh, well, you painted this with that brush and that with this brush. I like there to be a little bit of a, you know? So that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm trying to hide how I painted it, if that makes sense. And I like to do this in a lot of my paintings. The shop towel is one of my favorite ways to do that. You know, there's other ways. Sometimes I'll get in with a detail brush plus the 1 inch or 2 inch brush, you know, or fan brush plus the 1 inch, different things. Or fan brush and filbert, you know what I mean? You've seen me do it. But this is one way that you just get these little lines and weird shapes. Now, in my particular shop towel, there's no texture. You know, you're not getting somebody's logo plastered across. That would be awful. But you could use a rag. That would actually be wonderfully perfect as well. I don't really want to paint with this. I'm just trying to remove, well, obviously remove some paint, but more, this time, more than remove paint. I'm just trying to, again, hide the way that I painted it. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, that works. It's about as far as you can go. Grab another one. And let me see, just hit a few more of these areas. Of course, it's just like painting with a brush. You know, you want to be careful that that doesn't end up in your bluer purple areas. That would cause a problem. But that works. I like these little lines and weird shapes that it gives. Now to further kind of enhance this effect here, I'm just going to use a filbert brush. Again, just gives us, instead of 2 ways to do these trees, it gives us 3 ways to do the trees. It makes to me, a big difference just to have a 3rd texture. Plus I threw some darker trees in there and I don't know, just didn't feel like using the shop towel again. So we'll get even another brush stroke, and I love the way that looks. These darker trees are good. They kind of add a little much needed contrast, really. Much needed contrast. That's not a dark one. Excellent. And you know, I mean, it's fantasy kind of. I mean, this is not, you're not going to go out in nature and see this. So we're definitely being flexible with the colors. There's no doubt about that. And if you want to do this painting, you could do it with a yellow green. You know, this would be just beautiful with yellow green. You know, make it with realistic colors. That would be fine too. Absolutely. You could do the same thing. In fact, if you do that, definitely tag me, you know, in it, and I'll try to get that version in the next video because I'd love to see that too. So use whatever colors you like, or blues, you know, you could have just blue and then working out with the bluer, darker trees. It's completely up to you. I'm just kind of playing around with lighting and color today. It's good to try different things, that's for sure. If you don't try different things, well, you probably are not going to advance in your, you know, in your regular painting as much. Got to try different things. Sometimes things work out really, really well. You never know. Hey, I'm going to get just a little more, just kind of a pink. I just need to blend. Remember, there's no clear gel in here, so sometimes it just doesn't blend at all. I mean, this would be one painting. I guess it would have been fine to put clear gel in the water. But, you know me, I'm paranoid about mud. I do not want to have mud, and I don't want to have mud anywhere near my painting. So I usually tend to leave it out of the water. There, I'll fix this more later. I didn't mean to stop and mess with this right now. But this is going to be mostly covered. We have trees and stuff there anyways. Good. Maybe as it goes back, you can just adjust your color to make it fit what's above and create some extra little bushes and stuff. So now I'm going to pull my filbert brush to a nice chisel edge. This is a fairly new filbert brush. It looks in pretty good condition, especially for me. But you could use a 1/4 inch flat or 3/4 inch flat, and you would probably get a little easier result. But the filbert brush was already dirty with these colors, so that's why I chose it. Nice, and you can see I'm going very light and very delicate. If you go too crazy, I think that it'll actually start to ruin the beautiful effect. You know? We don't want to go overboard, I don't think. Not on this. Maybe make that a dead one. We're going to have a couple of dead ones in here. Obviously, you can do this with a liner brush too. You know, it's branches. You do anything you need to do to get your branches in. I'm going to go over here. Maybe one more dark one, but you're going to have to go, obviously, with the, you're going to have to go with the colors that you're in that area, if that makes sense. So very quickly, you'll need to change to purple, the light pink, purpley, and then the orange and yellow. You know, make it match. That's all I'm trying to say. Excellent. So we'll just continue to place in some of these branches. It's not too early to do branches. It helps to kind of visualize what's going on here in the painting. We are going to have some larger trees as well, so you can put those in now if you want to with the filbert brush. But that looks pretty much the way I was hoping for it to look, I'd say. What do you think? Is that not too bad? Because there's not a whole lot in this painting, it's okay to take your time when it comes to this sort of stuff. There's no rush. You don't have 3 million things to paint. It's not like you're going to do a mountain where you're going to spend a long time on that mountain. You know, a very large percentage of your painting. There's just not that. This is trees. Basically just trees. Little water, little foreground. Simple. Simple doesn't mean that you have to rush it. You can go slower on simple paintings. So now I'm going to take some just yellow and white really on the 3/4 brush. Down here is still dry. There's really nothing going on. And I'm going to create some frosty areas. There you go. So finishing up the color here at least is as easy as just sticking in a little purple. I did put some red in there. I just figured, you know, 3 colors better than 2 colors. Definitely true. In fact, 5 colors would be better yet. It would be good to try to get those in, but we're going to have browns and whatnot in our grasses, so I'm not maybe as worried about trying to get as many colors in, but you certainly could add more of a peach tone, more of a yellow tone. Just continue with the variation. It's definitely a good thing. Variation is always a good thing. There, I'm just darkening some trees that I added just a moment ago, and really, it's a good idea. It's not a bad thing to go ahead and paint your trees in light, and that's what I did here. Kind of slowly figured out where I wanted them. Now you go back in, now that you have them in there, and darken them up. Because there's, you know, the only thing you need to worry about when you're painting a big tree down the middle of your canvas is, do I have it in the right spot? It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter how big it is, although you don't want it too big at the top. And it really doesn't matter, can't speak. It really doesn't matter how dark it is. You can easily come back, just like I'm doing now, and darken it up. It is going to mix with what's going on underneath it. The more layers of paint down you have, the harder that's going to be. But there you go. It's not that big of a deal to go ahead and darken it. Now, crazy enough, I've got the liner brush going. And this is just a little bit of the tree color that I thinned down slightly. Now, you know, at first this seems very, very weird to be using the liner brush at this point, as I haven't even highlighted the trees. I'm not done. Well, overall, I like the feeling of the painting. I don't want to do a ton of big things. For the most part, I'm really liking it. So instead, I'm going to focus on details and see how far we can take it with the details and make it look more finished just by the liner brush. I may even highlight the tree with a liner brush. Why not? I mean, there's reasons why not, but we're going to do it anyways. But see, just get a lot of detail going this way, and it's just something different. You know me. If I can do something different, show you something a little different, I'm going to do that. I think that it helps to keep things kind of fresh and interesting. And you should definitely be doing that with your paintings. This is a winter scene, furthermore, another reason, the winter scene. And it really benefits from these branches. You'll see them more than in a regular summer or spring or fall. Because, of course, I mean, don't you love how I'm explaining the way that a season works? Yeah. You know what I mean, though. The point is, the limbs play a much bigger role in this painting, obviously. So we'll definitely need to spend more time on them. And I guess that's why I'm treating them as not as like a final throw it in at the last minute step, but as a crucial part of the painting. Hope that makes sense. Oh, it was a lot of explanation. I'm sure I could have explained that better, but hopefully that all kind of makes sense. At least hopefully you understand kind of my thought behind it, because that's just as important, isn't it? Kind of understanding why you do something or why I do something so that you can do it in your own painting, even if it's a different painting from this one. To me, it's important. Oh, I love that, though. Nice and wiggly with your hand. Don't do any of those wormies or those snakes where you go S shapes all over the place. Nice and snappy. And make sure when you're doing this that you have plenty of negative space in your tree. You don't want to fill it all in with limbs. If you're not super comfortable with limbs, you know, it's still, just because you're not going to put leaves on, well, you could easily put leaves on this tree. I don't think I'm going to really put too many. I might put a few leaves on here, but you could still cover it with background foliage and stuff, even if you get a limb in here that you don't care for. So, no big stress. Well, now I'm highlighting the snow clumps with the liner brush. Not normally something I would probably do. We're not talking really an accent highlight. I guess I would do that, but we're talking pretty much the highlight and just that light spilling through. I think that's pretty, I personally like it. I just think it's interesting and different. You get these small, tiny little strokes. You don't have to worry about it mixing, that's for sure. Unless, of course, you hit it twice. Then you have to worry about it mixing. But that's just because the liner brush is, you know, it's all thin. You know, this is completely weird and different, and feel free not to do this. You could just as well do the little 1/4 inch flat. Oh, that would be a perfect brush for detail round. I mean, that's what it was made for. But how much fun is it to try something different? And if it goes wrong, who cares? Who cares? Because we're going to learn something out of this. Kind of interesting to try. I will say, if you're not experienced with oil paint, this is probably not a great idea. You know, just do it with a different brush, filbert brush, anything. If you're not experienced with oil paint, at least having done a few paintings, doing something like this with a liner brush will probably lead to mud, just because you won't know, you know, where you can push it, if that makes sense. So, you know, I kind of know where to push this, like, you know, I'll know before it gets muddy. But if you don't have a lot of experience, you won't see the signs of it. Oh, it could get muddy here, and you'll have mud before you know it. So just use, the point is because I'm thinning down the paint. That's why that would possibly be an option of getting a lot of mud. The more you thin the paint, the more in danger you are. That is just the way it is. And the more dry the paint is, and the less paint that's on the canvas, the safer you are. Well, have you ever been painting and you thought to yourself, is this really what I want to do? Having that experience right now. Because anything you do up here really stands out. Oh, is this what I want to do? There it is now. I wanted a dead tree that fell in the water for one reason. It just looked a little too plain. It was a little too empty. It's not empty now. We got this big tree hanging out in the water. Let's see if we can make it look good. I gotta say, it's hard to come back from stuff like this. Other than, of course, doing something drastic, like changing the shoreline. We could certainly do that, but it'd be hard to get back to exactly the way it was before. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't try it. Like I said, you can always change the shoreline, or, you know, there's other options, but there you go. Stand back, see if that's actually not bad. It's not bad. Now let's see if we can't get a reflection. Maybe let me add a little white to that. This is detail round brush, actually kind of a worn out detail round brush. Let's see if I can't get just a little reflection of that so that it looks like it's towering. Hey, that works. Ooh, I actually like it. It's not bad. It's not bad. All right, well, that's good. That's good. We can work with it. We'll add some snow on it, of course, but maybe while I'm here, let me just real quick get a little bit we'll just change the shoreline here a little to make that more built up. So you can see kind of where that tree is laying. Maybe put a bush over it to kind of help put it into the painting again. Same idea. Bury it in the painting because it wasn't part of the original plan. Yep, that works. Good, good, good. That sort of stuff makes a difference. I like it. I can't wait to stand back. I haven't stood back to look at it, but I like it so far. I like it from up close, which isn't always saying a lot, but there you go. Anyway, that looks pretty good. Yeah, we'll make it work. How's that? At this point, it's close enough. We'll just make it work the rest of the way. Well, I've got to say, I am not sorry that I tried this. I will also say this is not how I was hoping it would look. I messed up the perspective on it. And stuff like that, you can make it just as beautiful as you want. If you mess up the perspective, it just sometimes looks funny. Not always, sometimes you get away with it. I'm not getting away with it here. So I've got no choice. Like I said, I got no choice but to change the shoreline, really. So I'm going to change the shoreline. I'm going to show you how to do that in a way that's going to make the painting better, because I still, at the end of the day, am getting what I want out of this area. I didn't like how open it was. It just felt like a big round, like a puddle. But this I'm going to give some shape to the water, and I think it's going to be more interesting, even though it's not what I planned. So there you go. Stuff doesn't always work out. But you can always make it work, if that makes sense. Ooh, that's your inspiration, painting inspiration for today, isn't it? Okay. So again, let me just show you how to just shape this land. This works in any painting that you're doing. This concept of, it didn't work, so let's just completely change it. If you're not pleased with an area, it is always worth changing it, because you're never going to be pleased with it. So you might as well change it. Eventually you'll get to what you want. Or you'll learn, what not to do and learn from your mistakes. Either way is a valuable experience, I would say. So, because I didn't really plan that tree trunk out at all, I just let's throw it in, hope it works. I'll tell you what went wrong on it. When I pulled the reflection underneath it, it was a V shape, remember that? And that made it look as though it was up on a rock. And leaning down, but the shoreline around it was not like that at all. It was very, very flat. So it ended up just looking weird. That's why I had to take it out. Oh, there we go. So now we have something that's just as good. We have a tree that's down, just laying down on the snow. And we still disrupted that water area where I didn't like it, where it was too much like a puddle. We've disrupted that, so I'm happy. And we'll just tie all that in. I might do a little more highlighting, a little more shading, but it's all going to work out just fine. Put some grass in there, it'll look great. I still get my tree trunk, which is really cool. Put some limbs on that, that'll really look nice. So one of the final things that we're going to do up here, at least to these trees, as far as the trees are concerned, we'll be kind of creating some of this, what looks like frost on the trees. This isn't necessarily snow. This is more frost. I'm doing it with the liner brush, as crazy as that is. I just like the idea of it. I think it's going to be really, really vibrant, or not so much vibrant, wrong word. I think it's going to be very, very bright. That's the correct word. Very bright. Because there'll be no mixing. And it will really complement this light background well, I think, because you've got to have it extremely bright, almost pure yellow and white, which is what I'm using right there. That works. So you can just go around doing little touches. You can kind of pull the stroke or just let it bounce in and around to create different looks, but that's all it requires. Very detailed, honestly, very detailed, and not terribly slow. I mean, I personally wouldn't want to do a whole forest like this, but a few trees, no big deal. That's my thought behind that. A few trees really would look good. Look at that. Just draw some of that intention into the middle of the painting. I think that's really well worth it. Well worth it. It's a small investment of time, It's not a very big area to do. I think it's worth every second. Excellent. A few of these little highlights here in the snow is a good thing, I think. We'll kind of just go around the painting doing that. You don't have to do it exclusively with this color either. Maybe just a little back here. See, I painted those dark trees first, but with the liner brush, it's super easy to kind of go around them. Because it's so tiny. So it comes to such a sharp point, you can get real close if you want to your trees. So now let's detail out these trees finally, getting some good texture on them. Then the liner brush, because that seems to be what we've been finishing this painting out with. Kind of had in mind to just continue with it. I guess it's working good enough. I mean, I have done this before with the liner brush, but pretty rarely actually, very rarely. Maybe once, twice at the most, fully detailing a tree with the liner. But it works, definitely works. And it's just as good as any other brush. It's got advantages and disadvantages, of course, but it definitely works. Yeah, the biggest advantage to it is the fact that the paint goes on so pure compared to any other method, and it would just mix, which is fine, but that's what would happen, it would mix. This, it really doesn't mix. It glides right on because it's so thin. There, some downsides would be that, it could get too slippery, and you could have too much oil. You got to be careful not to add too much oil to your brush when you do this sort of anything with the liner brush, but because we're doing it so much here, be very careful not to have too much oil in that brush, because your painting will never dry, or at least take forever to dry, and it will also probably drip. It does happen if you get too much oil in your liner brush mix, so make sure there's a good amount of paint in there. I'm going to spend the next few minutes fine-tuning and detailing out the foreground areas. It'll really just help make this painting look complete, and I think that's really what we need right about now. Just rounding the bend, it's starting to look like it's pretty much done. So this is like the next big thing we got to get finished. I'm liking that though. As you can see, I've got a purple tone, and I'll pull some golden ones and some, light color, kind of white ones over all this. It'll just, add at least 2 or 3 colors. It'll add a nice effect, I believe. Let's go over here. Just do a few. I don't want so many that it looks weird, but we'll just kind of fill in, maybe create a bit of an eye-catching area here. Eye stopper. That's the right way to say it. Keeps your eye from flying off that side of the painting. There. That works. Ooh, this is such a simple painting. And all of the details pretty much come from the liner brush. It's so simple, but it's just pretty. I'm just enjoying looking, just sitting here doing liner brush work and just looking at it. I think I'm drawn to the colors and the light. I think I'm really drawn to the colors and the light. So you have to let me know what you think. See how it comes across in the video, but I don't know, something about that color. Could be because there's snow outside for me here, but I don't know, it's just interesting. Yeah, a couple of tall ones there to break up the horizon a little. Well, not really horizon, just that little area. There. It's okay. We're getting toward the end of the painting, so it's okay. Well, that about wraps up this little winter painting. It was a lot of fun to experiment with these kind of warm and then purpley cool colors. It was pretty interesting. Don't forget to check out our website, DVDs, and brush line. Thanks for watching. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe if you're not already, and click the like button. It helps me out a lot. Stick around, watch a couple more videos, and stay inspired.